All right, let's talk AI. It's moving so fast, it's almost impossible to keep up, right? But if you really want to understand where this is all going, you got to look past the daily headlines. The future of AI is actually being forged right now in three huge arenas: the battle over the rules, the insane race for resources, and the down-to-earth struggle of making this stuff actually work.
So yeah, the big question is, with AI moving at this lightning speed, where is it actually going? The answer isn't just about some new model or a cool demo. Nope, it's about a three-front war, really. It's about rules, resources, and reality. So let's dive into each one.
Okay, let's start with the first arena, the rules. Think about it. How do you even begin to write laws for something that changes like every week? It's this massive global scramble. And, believe it or not, a really big first move was just made on this chessboard.
And that move comes from California. They just passed the first major AI safety law in the entire US. Now, this isn't about killing innovation. It's all about one thing: accountability. We're talking about forcing companies to open up their playbooks, to report when things go wrong, and fast, and to make sure employees who speak up are protected. It is a huge, huge push for transparency.
But as you can probably guess, not everyone's thrilled. It's super controversial. You've basically got two camps. On one side, people are saying, look, someone had to do something. The federal government is dragging its feet, so this is a good first step. But then you have the other side, and they're worried this is going to create a total mess, a patchwork of 50 different AI laws, which would be an absolute nightmare for any company trying to operate across the country.
All right, that whole debate brings us perfectly into our second arena: resources. Because, let's be real, AI doesn't run on magic. It runs on two things: an absolutely insane amount of computing power and just mountains of cash. And what we're seeing right now is nothing short of a global land grab for both.
Just look at this number: $17.4 billion. That's what Microsoft just dropped on a deal with a cloud company called Nebius. And listen, this isn't just them buying a few more servers. Oh no, this is a power move. It's about locking down a gigantic chunk of the world's computing power, basically cornering the market on the very infrastructure AI depends on.
And if that last number didn't blow you away, check this out. That single deal we just talked about, it gave them access to over 100,000 of NVIDIA's absolute top-of-the-line chips. This is exactly what I mean by a land grab. It's an aggressive play to hoard the raw horsepower that fuels this entire revolution. And it's putting that power into the hands of just a few giant players.
So you've got the hardware, but it's not just about the chips. It's about the cash. And the money is just flowing. VCs have already pumped almost $200 billion into AI this year alone. Let that sink in. This year, 2025, is on track to be the first time in history that over half of all venture capital money for everything goes into just one single industry. That's wild.
Okay, when you see numbers like that, there's a question you just can't ignore, the one everyone is thinking. Is this an AI bubble? I mean, the hype is through the roof. The valuations are getting pretty crazy. Are we just inflating a balloon that's about to pop?
Well, here's an interesting take from a guy who's seen a bubble or two, Jeff Bezos. His take is pretty blunt. He says, yep, it's a bubble. But, and this is the important part, he compares it to the dot-com era. Remember that? The bubble popped, a lot of companies vanished, but the underlying technology, the internet, it still went on to change absolutely everything. He thinks that's what we're seeing here.
So we've got a battle over rules and a fire hose of money and computing power. That brings us to our third and final arena, and maybe the most important one: reality. It's great to have all this stuff, but how are people actually making AI useful, reliable, getting it to work in the real world? And this is where the conversation is getting a lot more sophisticated. For a while, it was all about prompt engineering, right? Finding the perfect magic words to ask the AI. Well, we're moving past that. The new game in town is context engineering. It's a whole different level. It's not just about the question you ask. It's about giving the AI the right information at the right time.
And this difference is so important. Think of it like this. Prompt engineering is like asking a really smart person a single trivia question. You're trying to get one great answer. Context engineering is more like giving that same smart person a whole file cabinet of relevant documents and a phone to call experts, and then asking them to manage a whole project. And the results are staggering. Anthropic tested this approach and saw nearly 40% jump in performance. That's huge.
And this isn't just some theory from a research paper, by the way. The big players are already all over it. JPMorgan Chase has a Copilot that's finding security threats about 20% faster. Salesforce is creating tools to manage swarms of these AI agents. Microsoft, Google, they're all building these more advanced agentic systems. This is happening now, inside some of the biggest companies on the planet.
So how do these things actually work under the hood? Well, it's basically a three-step loop that just repeats. First, it figures out the context. It gathers all the info it needs. Then, it uses that info to reason and make a plan. And finally, it executes that plan, using whatever tools it has available. Gather info, make a plan, do the thing, over and over.
But okay, before we get too carried away, we need a little reality check. And it comes from a true expert in the field, Andrej Karpathy. He basically says, look, these AI agents are awesome for the boring, repetitive stuff, the boilerplate. But when you throw a really tricky, creative problem at them, they tend to struggle. They can spit out messy, buggy code. The takeaway? They're super useful tools for sure, but they are not ready to take over for human experts. Not yet.
And as the tech changes, the people have to change too. The skills needed are evolving at a crazy pace. Just look at this data from Udemy, showing what people in India are learning. Prompt engineering skills are up over 1,500%. But it's not just that. You see huge jumps in people learning about AI governance and specialized databases. The whole workforce is literally in a race to learn and adapt to this new reality.
So, let's pull it all back. What have we seen? We've seen a mad dash to write the rulebook, a titanic land grab for the resources that power this revolution, and a really complicated, messy, but exciting journey to make it all real. We're building these incredibly smart agents, and at the same time, we're racing to build the guardrails to control them, which leaves us with one final massive question. Are we actually building a smarter future, or just a more complicated one?